All right, today we are going to pull back the curtain on a huge piece of the digital world, pay-per-click advertising. If you've ever felt like the internet is, reading your mind, well, you're about to find out exactly how it does that. Let's get into it. You know the feeling, right? We've all been there. You do a quick search for a new pair of hiking boots, and for the next week, it's like every website you visit, every social media app you open, boom, hiking boots. It feels like some kind of digital magic, but it's really just a very smart, very specific type of marketing. And the engine that makes all of this happen is called pay-per-click, or PPC. The name pretty much says it all. It's a system where businesses can place their ads on places like Google or Facebook, but here's the key. They only have to pay when someone is interested enough to actually click on that ad. Simple as that. Here's a great way to think about it. Other marketing strategies like SEO are kind of like planting a garden. It takes time and patience to see results. But PPC, that's like walking into the busiest supermarket and renting the best shelf right at eye level. You get your product seen by people who are already there, ready to shop right now.
Okay, so what actually makes a good PPC campaign tick? It's not just one thing, It really comes down to a few core parts that all have to work together just right.
Everything, and I mean everything, starts with keywords. These are basically the bridge that connects what someone is looking for with what you're selling. But here's the secret sauce. It's not just about picking words. It's about understanding what the person intends to do. Is someone searching best coffee beans because they want to buy them or because they're just curious? Getting that intent right is absolutely crucial. So you've picked the right keywords, and your ad pops up. Great, but your job's not done. Now you have to actually convince that person to click on your ad instead of the 5 others on the page. That's where your ad copy comes in. It's the headline, the description. It has to be sharp, persuasive, and really cut through all the noise.
And once you get that precious click, where do you send them? You send them to a landing page. And this is so important. This isn't your homepage. It's not just any old page. It's a special page built with a single, focused goal to get that visitor to do one specific thing, whether that's buy now or sign up. No distractions, just action.
And finally, we've got to talk about the money part, bidding. See, most PPC platforms work like a giant super fast auction. You tell the system the maximum amount you're willing to pay for one click. But here's the really interesting twist. The highest bidder doesn't always win. Platforms like Google also look at something called a quality score, basically how relevant and useful your ad and landing page are. A better quality ad can actually win a higher spot for less money.
Okay, so we know what it is and kinda how it works. But why should you even care? Why is PPC such a massive deal for so many businesses? Well, the perks are pretty huge.
I think the biggest advantage, honestly, is speed. You can start a campaign in the morning and literally have new customers by the afternoon. Plus, you get this incredible laser-focused control. Want to show your ad only to people in Chicago between the ages of 25 and 35 who love dogs? You can do that. And you can do it all while sticking to a strict budget. Best of all, as you can see here, every single thing is measurable.
And PPC isn't just a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. It's more like a whole toolbox, with different tools for different jobs. For example, a search ad is perfect when someone is actively searching for something to buy. But a visual display ad on a bunch of different websites, that's great for just getting your brand's name out there. You pick the right tool for the goal you have in mind.
So, theory is great, but let's get practical. How would you actually go about setting up your very first campaign? We're going to do a quick walkthrough of a simple 5-step process using the biggest ad platform on the planet, Google Ads.
It really boils down to these 5 main stages. You start with strategy. What's your goal? Then you get into the nitty-gritty of setup and targeting, picking those all-important keywords. Then, of course, you create the ad itself. But that last step, launch and optimize, that's where the real magic happens. This isn't a set-it-and-forget-it deal. You're constantly looking at the data, tweaking your bids, and making your ads better and better over time.
So you've launched your campaign. You're done, right? Not even close. The real power, the absolute genius of PPC, is in knowing if it's actually working. And to see this in action, we're going to look at Facebook ads, because the way it tracks results is a perfect example of how you can connect your spending directly to your sales.
To really know what's going on, you have to track everything. On Facebook, the main tool for this is something called the Pixel. Just think of it as a tiny, invisible piece of code you put on your website. It connects what someone saw in their Facebook feed to what they actually did on your site, like buying something. It's the key that unlocks all the important data.
And with all that data, you can finally calculate the one number that matters most to any business, your return on investment, or ROI. The formula itself is super simple. You just take the money you made, subtract the money you spent, and then divide all that by how much you spent.
So what does a good ROI even look like? Well, check this out. Let's say a campaign generates a 400% return on investment. Sounds really impressive, right? But what does that actually mean for your wallet?
It's actually pretty straightforward. A 400% ROI means that for every single $1,000 you spent on those ads, you brought in $5,000 in sales. That's a $4,000 profit. And that right there is why this is so powerful. When you can see the numbers this clearly, you can make really smart decisions about how to grow your business.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here, from the basic ideas of PPC all the way to the nuts and bolts of measuring your success. So, what's the big idea we should all walk away with?
When you really boil it all down, what is PPC all about? It's about control. It gives you the power to put the perfect message in front of the perfect person at the perfect time. And this is the best part, you'll know almost instantly if it's working. It's an incredibly direct and powerful way to make things happen online. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. If you had to pick just one, what's the single most valuable phrase your ideal customer is typing into a search bar right now? Because that's the power of PPC. It lets you show up and be the answer they're looking for. Thanks for joining me.